maximum capacity.
Landing jumper disengaged. Expedite climb to exit altitude.
Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1, engage. Frameshift drive charging. Ready to engage. 4, 3, 2, Frameshift drive charging. Frameshift drive charging. Frameshift drive charging.
To The Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. Folks, I read once that if you're a passenger in an auto accident, it helps if you're just a little
Wisconsin, it's not a water fountain. It's a bubbler. In Minnesota, instead of saying doing donuts, they say whipping shitties, which arguably is cooler than saying donuts, but still a little strange. And a really big one are these guys right here. In most Midwest states, we call them pull tabs, but for some reason, in Nebraska, they call them pickle cards. There are a rare few that call them a waste of money, but I call those people quitters. And you can't forget about the word ope. It is a Midwest classic. You're gonna hear it a whole lot, and it is the Swiss Army knife of Midwest words. You can reach Jedi Master level if you pair it with the coveted sneak right. Question it, just accept it, you know? We'll also need to learn how to do small talk in the Midwest, which is very simple. All you gotta do is point out obvious stuff. The more obvious, the better. If you're at the bar with your buddy, you'll say something like, wow, bar's busy tonight. He can see that. He knows that it's busy, but that's just how we talk. Or if you see an animal, just shout out its species. Deer, cow, turkey. And when it comes to weather, you just say stuff like, hey, it's snowing out. But where the real magic happens is when they say, yeah, those are some big flakes. Next thing you know, you're best friends. Now I gotta tell you how to ask for a favor, paired with a way for them to get out of it. Let me just show you. Hey man, would you mind helping me move on Saturday? If you don't have time, that's fine. Like, I don't want to inconvenience you. Or feel free to say no, but will you marry me? If not, that's totally fine. We are so afraid of inconveniencing people that we always give them an out. We'd rather suffer alone than make someone do something they don't want to do. You're also going to need to learn about emotions, which is impossible for someone in the Midwest. And basically, there's just one rule. Bury your emotions deep down and never bring them up. Instead, people from the Midwest use actions instead of emotions because actions speak louder than words. Instead of saying, I love you, we'll just change your oil for you. Instead of saying sorry, we'll just give you a couple packages of venison brats. And instead of saying, I understand how you're feeling, we're just gonna go get you another beer. So really, if you wanna speak Midwest, don't say anything. Next, you need to learn the local state vernacular. In Wisconsin, it's not a water fountain. It's a bubbler. In Minnesota, instead of saying doing donuts, they say whipping shitties, which arguably is cooler than saying donuts, but still a little strange. And a really big one are these guys right here. In most Midwest states, we call them pull tabs, but for some reason, in Nebraska, they call them pickle cards. There are a rare few that call them a waste of money, but I call those people quitters. And you can't forget about the word ope. It is a Midwest classic. You're gonna hear it a whole lot, and it is the Swiss Army knife of Midwest words. You can reach Jedi Master level if you pair it with the coveted sneak right past you. It will blow people's minds. So no, yeah, that's about it. And if you're not too busy, we'd love if you could comment anything that we missed, but if not, if it's too much inconvenience, you don't have to. Today, I'm gonna teach you how to speak Midwestern. First thing you need to learn is that
You scurvy-billed rats! Make your peace with your god, for we have come for your gold and your women. Ah!
Hi there, thank you so much for striking your colors. When I say it has been a week tracking you, it has been a week tracking you. And none of that matters. Cargo, manifest, let's go.
Oh my god, you have a doctor!
Yeah, we're taking it. Half my crew has scurvy. Okay, so who's the captain?
S'il vous plaît, monsieur. Parlez-moi.
Oh, French. You're far from home. Does anyone here read French? Apparently this ship has a lot of esclaves. Oh, slaves. This is a slaver ship. Quartermaster, how's the take? Not bad, huh? Oh, it's okay, we can still make a profit out of this. Hello! As a representative of the Pirates Republic of Nassau, I am here to inform you that you are no longer slaves. So that is the good news. However, the bad news is that I only have space and supplies enough for 50 of you and there's 100, so discuss amongst yourselves. Okay, Quartermaster, what's the logistics of taking both ships here? That sounds both time-consuming and expensive. Okay, so what if we give them command of the ship, send them off into British waters, and then sell that information to the British government? Yeah, that sounds better, right? Hey guys, congratulations, you're the new captains. No, it's no need to thank me. No need to thank me. It's all in a day's work. Grab the ledges and let's get the fuck out of here.
Ah, yes.
There's a weird thing that you have to watch out for as a black dude with white friends. You know, you gotta watch out for a little tokenism in there. You gotta watch out, you know, you gotta go to the function, make sure there's another one of you. Because you don't want it to be just you. You don't want to be the only black friend. Because now I just know it's like, oh, you collecting. One black guy, one Asian guy. Oh, this is not good. This is grabbing us like infinity stones. You know what I mean? It's very uncomfortable. But there are some tells to know, like, you know, past friendship and past any sort of like social constructs around race. There are ways to tell as a black person, all by yourself, how close your white friends really are to you, how they feel about you. You, as a black person, don't always know who your white friends are until they take a picture of you. Some of you don't know what I'm talking about. Cameras weren't necessarily made with melanin in mind. And every once in a while, you'll have a white friend take a picture of you, or a picture of you and them, and you don't come out looking great. And you'll show them the picture. You'll be like, what is this? You made me look like a cat. Like, what is happening right now? And they're like, looks great to me. Oh, okay. That's terrifying news, because that means this is how I look to you all the time. If you don't see a difference, I don't know if we could be friends. This is insanity. You know, love a white friend who thinks about a flash. Sometimes at the sacrifice of themselves. I've had some wonderful white friends who have been like, let's make sure that everybody in the picture looks good. We'll put the flash on. I don't even have to say anything. Just in my head, I'm like, wow, what a white friend. What a true ally. And then we'll take the picture and I come out looking amazing. We're coming out looking extra Nubian, you know? Like a young prince, and then they look like a fresh ghost. And this is where hypocrisy comes into play. This is where everyone can be a little racist, because I'll see the picture and I'll be like, I don't really see a problem here at all. There's a weird thing that you have to watch out for as a...
If you don't know where...
I think today my 6-year-old...
Dude, are the planets really all in a flat plane? Yeah, pretty much. And they all orbit the sun in the same direction. Yes, counterclockwise, when viewed from above the sun's north pole. Okay, how could they be configured so neatly? What, is this just some insane coincidence? No, man, it's just physics. The universe makes flat things all the time. How? Well, look, just imagine the solar system like a ball of dough. A ball of dough? Have you ever seen a chef spin a ball of pizza dough in the air to flatten it out? Yeah. Well, that's kind of like how the solar system became flat. By spinning. You see, about 4.5 billion years ago, our entire solar system was nothing but a huge cloud of gas and dust, a so-called solar nebula, which was just beginning to coalesce and collapse under its own gravity. Now, as it did so, any slight bit of rotation that this overall system had became exaggerated as the cloud condensed more and more, causing it to spin faster and faster due to what's known as the conservation of angular momentum. And over an astronomical length of time, 1 million+ years, this cloud's rapid rotation, coupled with countless collisions between the particles within it, which would eventually cancel out any trajectories that weren't in the direction of the overall spin, caused the whole thing to very gradually flatten out. The sun would form at the very center, where the vast majority of the cloud's mass had congregated, and all of the planets formed from the leftover stuff in that surrounding disk. That's why they all orbit the sun on roughly the same plane, and in the same direction. Dude, are the planets really all in a flat...
What's a wizarding opinion that'll get you locked up like this? Fireball is such a caveman-ass spell. The whole arcane weave is in the palm of your hands, and all you can think of is big fire. Promethean Neanderthals. What's a wizarding opinion that'll get you locked up like this?
One of my biggest pet peeves in medieval depictions, and it's not like battles or war or even that sort of historical inaccuracy, because I understand artistic license. Like, war's a 99% weighting, and that's just not entertaining to watch. No, for me, it's how armor is depicted. Like, we have all seen a flick where there's the hero who's basically wearing just leather armor and carrying a sword, cutting guys down left, right, and center who are in like plate and mail. Like, Armor worked. That's why they wore it. You're not slapping on nearly 30 extra kilos just to look good. And it worked so efficiently, they had to develop fighting styles to get around it. Styles that targeted the armor's weak points, under the arm, the groin, the neck, if you're not wearing a gorget. In fact, plate armor was so efficient that in the later medieval period, you start seeing the use of a lot more heavy weapons, like maces and heavy axes. Because there's only so much blunt force trauma that armor will protect you from. But yeah, there's plenty of fighting that is still interesting to watch. With armor incorporated as part of the fighting. It's such a silly pet peeve, but it's mine. One of my biggest pet peeves in
yeah, that's my mom. She gave birth to me. I will defend this woman. I will die for this woman. So I get out of the car and I start yelling at this guy. What the hell did you just say? What the hell? Get out here. Get out here, you son of a bitch. Let's go, asshole. And he gets out of the car. I'm like, oh shit, this is actually happening right now. Okay, this is going to come as a shock to you people. I don't know how to fight. No such thing as midget UFC, okay? Like, there should be midget UFC. That would be awesome. Like me and Wee Man in a ball pit at Chuck E. Cheese. Like, let's get it on. You know, it's not. So I don't know how to fight. The only fighting I know is stuff I learned from video games in the 90s. This guy's charging at me, and I have some weird instinct. I just look at him and I go, Hadouken! I just say Hadouken. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, I will explain. There was a video game in the 90s called Street Fighter 2, okay? Street Fighter, yeah. There were two characters in that game. They wouldn't just punch and kick. No, they would yell out Hadouken, and they would throw a fireball from their hands. A fireball, because that might be useful in a fight. Punch, kick, fireball. It works. And that's right. I'm like, Hadouken. I just yelled it out. You think I'm crazy, but this shows you how much people don't know about little people. I yelled out Hadouken. This guy flinched and then like ran away. He ran away. Do you understand what that means? That means that when I yelled out Hadouken, this guy thought, well, he is a dwarf. He can probably throw a fireball. I'm booking it. At that point, I would give all of my money, to be there when this guy told his friends this story. No, bro, you have no idea what happened to me, man. I yelled at this woman today. She got pissed off. She had a button on her car. An attack midget just like ran out of her car like that. And the attack midget starts throwing fireballs at me. I had to block it and like dodge and do that. I didn't even know they had attack midgets. I have seen every episode of MTV Cribs. You never saw a 50 Cent like, yo, this is my Mercedes, and it comes with a motherfucking attack midget right there. It never happened. And you would assume.
Scientists just found a human brain that has turned to glass, and we finally know how it happened. In 79 AD, when Mount Vesuvius erupted, it unleashed waves of superheated ash and rock. For one victim, found within a wooden structure encased in solidified rock, archaeologists uncovered something never seen before: fragments of glass inside the victim's skull. The nearly 2,000-year-old brain was so well preserved you could actually see imprints of nerve cells underneath the microscope. But the real mystery was, how does a human brain turn into a piece of glass in the first place? Vitrification, the process of turning something into glass, is incredibly difficult. It requires an extreme burst of heat to first liquefy the tissue, followed by rapid cooling before crystals can form. But the problem is, Vesuvius's pyroclastic flows only reached about 450 degrees C, which isn't hot enough to instantly liquefy a brain. Don't ask me how they know that. And it didn't cool quickly either, potentially taking months to fully solidify. So what really happened here? Scientists now believe that before the pyroclastic flows arrived, an even hotter, superheated ash cloud exceeding 500 degrees Celsius engulfed Herculaneum. This intense heat charred the body and flash melted the brain, turning it into liquid. As the ash cloud rapidly dissipated, the temperature plunged back to ambient levels almost instantaneously, cooling the brain so fast it solidified into a glass before it had time to burn away. Then, within the hour, lava flows buried the entire scene, locking this moment in time for nearly 2 millennia. This discovery gives us a shiny new perspective on one of history's most infamous eruptions, an ancient event seen through a mind that's literally been frozen in time. If you like science and mind-blowing breakthroughs, follow for more. Scientists just found a human brain that is...
Oh, wow, Brad, that's insane that you met one person that has achondrophobia. No, I've met quite a few people that have it. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's a fear of little people, all right? And that shit is real, okay? It's real. And it's not, oh, he's kind of creepy. It's more like, what is that? Okay, like, it's nuts. It's pretty common, which is weird. I've even met one celebrity that has it. Don't worry, I'll tell you who it is. Okay. John Stamos. Yes, that John Stamos. Yeah, he's got achondrophobia. I didn't know that until I did a show with Bob Saget, his co-star from Full House. I did a charity show with him. Saget rolls up to the show with John Stamos and Dave Coulier. They are still all friends, which is awesome. I'm sitting in my dressing room. All of a sudden, Saget bursts into my dressing room and was like, Brad, you have to come meet John Stamos. And I'm sitting there like, well, yeah, I love the show Full House. Uncle Jesse, Jesse and the Rippers, the catchphrase, have mercy. I would love to meet John Stamos. He goes, Brad, you don't get it. Stamos is terrified of little people. Then I know what I must do, Bob Saget. The plan goes into action. Saget runs into his dressing room. He starts talking to Stamos, distracting him. As soon as Stamos turns his back, I know that's my cue. I run in, I see Stamos, I run right up, I grab his leg, I start humping. And this is not a comedic hump. I am hate his leg, okay? Now, I'm gonna tell you this right now, and understand this, John Stamos screams like a bitch, okay? He does. He looked down, saw me, and like just start freaking out. And he starts kicking his leg like that. Like he starts kicking his leg like I'm some horny cocker spaniel or something, but you're not getting me off because I have little pug arms, and when I latch on, I latch on. So I'm good. I am riding his leg like it's an out-of-control fire hose. Dude, this is the rodeo. I'm surviving for 8 seconds, okay? While this is happening, Saget is on the floor laughing. And then, in a moment that I could not write if you gave me 1,000 opportunities, Dave Coulier walks into the dressing room, sees me humping Stamos' leg, and without missing a beat just goes, hey, Brad, cut it out. I can die now. Oh, wow, Brad, that's insane that you met one person that has achondrophobia. No, I've met...
What's a physics fact that blows your mind every time you hear it?
The sun is really big, right? Like, you could fit 1,000,000 Earths inside the sun, which already is freaking incomprehensible, but if we were to take the size of the sun and shrink it down to the size of the dot of an eye, okay, that you would just find in a book, then the Milky Way galaxy would be about the size of Earth, okay? We're talking about a dot compared to this planet. Galaxies are huge, okay? So let's take our nearest galactic neighbor, okay? So the Andromeda Galaxy. What's crazy is that the speed of light takes about 2.5 million years to go from Andromeda to Earth. It only takes light about a little over a second to go from the moon to the Earth, yet if Andromeda was brighter in the night sky, it would still appear 6 times the size of the moon. All right, 1 second versus 2.5 million years. Galaxies are really big.
What's a physics fact that blows your mind every time you hear it?
The sun is really big, right? Like, you could fit 1,000,000 Earths inside the sun, which already is freaking incomprehensible, but if we were to take the size of the sun and shrink it down to the size of the dot of an eye, okay, that you would just find in a book, then the Milky Way galaxy would be about the size of Earth, okay? We're talking about a dot compared to this planet. Galaxies are huge, okay? So let's take our nearest galactic neighbor, okay? So the Andromeda Galaxy. What's crazy is that the speed of light takes about 2.5 million years to go from Andromeda to Earth. It only takes light about a little over a second to go from the moon to the Earth, yet if Andromeda was brighter in the night sky, it would still appear 6 times the size of the moon. All right, 1 second versus 2.5 million years. Galaxies are really big.
What's a physics fact that blows your mind every time you hear it?
The sun is really big, right? Like, you could fit 1,000,000 Earths inside the sun, which already is freaking incomprehensible, but if we were to take the size of the sun and shrink it down to the size of the dot of an eye, okay, that you would just find in a book, then the Milky Way galaxy would be about the size of Earth, okay? We're talking about a dot compared to this planet. Galaxies are huge, okay? So let's take our nearest galactic neighbor, okay? So the Andromeda Galaxy. What's crazy is that the speed of light takes about 2.5 million years to go from Andromeda to Earth. It only takes light about a little over a second to go from the moon to the Earth, yet if Andromeda was brighter in the night sky, it would still appear 6 times the size of the moon. Alright, 1 second versus 2.5 million years. Galaxies are really big.
What's a physics fact?
Has to state your location. Counter-spell. Batman.
What? You are now Batman. So what, I can like fight crime and I'm super, super rich? Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Hey son, are you winning? Dad, no, oh my god! Hey honey, have you seen your father? Oh, no way! No, my parents!
Here are 3 ways to get what you want by using the same vocal techniques I use as a voice actor. So I'm a full-time voice actor, and my job is literally to make people feel things with my voice, whether that's trust, excitement, urgency, comfort, power, or literally anything else you can think of. And you can use the same techniques I do in my job in your everyday life, because what most people don't realize is what kind of voice you have actually matters 0%. It's what you do with your voice that makes a message effective. Your tone, pace, and even the pitch of your voice triggers psychological responses. We're wired to respond emotionally even before we process the words. Okay, so we're gonna start with what to do if you want to be taken seriously. People perceive lower voices as more confident and trustworthy because we associate a lower pitch with authority. So if you want to be taken seriously, like in a negotiation or conflict, drop your pitch just slightly and speak from your diaphragm. Here's an example in voiceover. Leadership isn't about volume. It's about vision, clarity, and calm conviction. In real life, it might sound like this. We won't be entertaining offers any lower than 2.5. Now, if you want to sound like you're in control, speak at a slower pace. Fast talkers sound nervous. Slow your speech by 10 to 15%, and you'll come across as more thoughtful, more powerful, and way more in control. So, for example, in voice acting, that might sound like, the onboarding process is simple. Your dashboard is intuitive, and everything you need is right at your fingertips. And in real life, you might say something like, I understand the way you're feeling, and we can talk about this later. But if you want to ask for a favor or you're trying to de-escalate tension, warmth and vocal smile actually matter more than confidence. Add just a touch of softness and upward inflection, and you're good to go. In voice acting, you might hear it in something like this. Hey, I totally get it. Things have been a lot lately. But if you've been considering donating to the Dyslexic Dalmatian Foundation, this might be your sign. And in real life, you might say something like, thank you so much for all of your hard work. Can you come to our next event too? And you don't have to be a pro voice actor to do this, you just have to be intentional. And if you're already doing this naturally, you're actually using performance psychology. Here are 3 ways to get what you want by using the same vocal techniques I use as a voice actor. So I'm a full-time voice actor, and my job is literally to make people feel things with my voice, whether that's trust.
And this
You want to play with me? Okay, like both of you? Okay, sure, let's try. Ready?
It's not a coincidence that Trump's been getting more flattering questions because the White House has increasingly let far-right news outlets and influencers into press events. A recent review of briefings found that 4 of the 5 reporters Levitt called on most were from right-wing outlets. She's also added a seat for new media, and the person in that seat is always called on first, meaning the press room now features figures like Cara Castronova, who works for Lindell TV, an internet news network bankrolled by the My Pillow guy, who asks questions like this.
Will you guys also consider releasing the president's fitness plan? He actually looks healthier than ever before. Healthier than he did 8 years ago, and I'm sure everybody in this room could agree. Is he working out with Bobby Kennedy? And is he eating less McDonald's?
That is an actual question a White House reporter asked, and everything about that is unsettling, from the fact she was essentially asking, the president's looking hotter than ever, right? To the absolutely cursed smile of that ghostly twink presence of the business Malfoy hovering behind her. You can all see him too, right? Please tell me you can see him. And when she was asked to spell out her approach to journalism, it didn't go great.
You are a Trump fan, right?
Yes, I'm definitely a supporter of President Trump.
So will you be able to hold them to account then?
I will be able to hold 100% him to account. You know, there's, I'm sure, things that will happen that I disagree with, and I have said plenty of times, you know, on the record when I've disagreed with his decision.
Is there anything so far in this administration you've disagreed with?
I'm not gonna, let me put some thought into that for a second. I'm just overwhelmed, just overwhelmed with how well I perceive things to be going.
What? I'm just overwhelmed with how well I perceive things to be going? That sounds less like what a White House correspondent should be saying to a reporter, more like something you say to an acquaintance at coffee before crying in your car for an hour. It's not a coincidence that Trump's been getting more flattering questions because the White House has increasingly let far...
If aliens exist, they will be working off the same elements, because this is it. Saying that other elements could exist is true, but that's usually a misunderstanding of how this table is arranged. This is what stars make, in roughly the order they make it. Grossly summarized, hydrogen is first, and starts nuclear fusion by fusing together to make helium, which is second. The 1 and 2 in the top left corners is the number of protons. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, until you get up to 1 ET, which is the farthest we've gotten so far. There's nothing missing in here because there are no 2.5s or something. That would be like half a proton and an electron, and that makes no sense in this context. What could possibly exist is elements past this. Something with like 119 protons or more. But that means they're heavy and probably unstable. Some of these larger elements aren't even found in nature. We manhandled them into existence. For context, gold is only 79 protons, and it's actually really hard for the universe to make this. It requires an insane explosion or like 2 neutron stars colliding. The gold we have is from before the solar system even existed. So when you get to like 118 protons, it's just getting ridiculous. Because remember, for life to be made of a thing, there needs to be enough of it for beings to consume and exist off of. It's the chemical reactions that are the real mystery. We know what happens when oxygen floats as a free agent versus when it combines into O2, but we don't know how all these things play together under all circumstances. That's the mystery. Not does life have oxygen, because it's the 3rd most common element in the universe, so everyone probably has it, but what are the reactions happening out there with all those things? That's why the discovery of dimethyl sulfide on K218b is so interesting. It's essentially a fart, and as far as we know, only living things can do that. That's where we have so much to learn, and it's pretty exciting. If aliens exist, they will be working off the same elements, because this is it. Saying that other elements could...
The European bee is a much more kinder, gentler bee, as opposed to the Africanized bee, which is a much more aggressive, hostile bee. Really? Just gonna try to sneak racism into the buckler? Like European bees are floating around like... So, what are we going to do today? I don't know. Maybe we can pollinate these flowers. Like the African bees in his beehive, like, who are we? Who are are we going to steam today? There is an unsuspecting white man out there. They want us to be killer bees, then killer bees we will be. Baba, I don't want to be a killer bee. You have to be a killer bee. What type of bee do you want to be? Bamboo? No, Baba. I want to be a honeybee. Not in this hive, cannot. You know, you do have an aunt named Moonshot. You can go there and make all the honey you want. Okay, Baba. I will go and be the best honey maker ever. I don't know where I'm going with this. Couple girls in the back. Finish it! The European bee is a much more kinder, gentler bee, as opposed to the African.
Scientists just created a bionic knee connected directly into a patient's bone and wired into their muscles. At MIT's mechatronics lab, researchers just revealed the osseo-integrated mechanoneural prosthesis, or OMP, because we don't have all day. Rather than traditional prosthetics that attach to the body with sockets and feel like lifeless masses strapped onto a limb, OMP is connected directly into a patient's skeletal system via a titanium rod implanted into the femur. The muscles of the thigh are also reconstructed, reconnecting pairs of muscles like the quadriceps and hamstring to create agonist-antagonist muscle loops, which naturally work in opposition to each other. Into these muscle loops, intramuscular electrodes are then implanted to pick up the electrical signals from muscle contraction. These signals correspond to the user's intended movements to either extend or to contract their knee. These signals travel to a controller housed in the prosthetic that interprets them in real time and translates the user's intent into natural movement. In clinical trials, patients who received the full OMP system outperformed other prosthetic users in obstacle avoidance, stair climbing, sit-to-stand tasks, and amazingly could even match or even exceed their pre-op walking speeds. Users also reported increased proprioception, the brain's ability to sense limb position and movement, as if the limb really had become part of their own body, turning them into a living hybrid of metal, bone, and electronics. No longer prosthetic, just pure biology 2.0, because sometimes the flesh is weak and you crave technically titanium. If you like science and just realize we're living in the Robocop timeline, follow for more. Scientists just created a bionic knee connected directly into a patient's bone and wired into their muscles. At MIT's mechatronics lab, researchers just revealed the osseo-integrated mechanoneural prosthesis, or OMP, because we don't have all day. Rather than traditional prosthetics that attach to the body with sockets and feel like lifeless masses strapped onto a limb, OMP is connected directly into a patient's skeletal system via a titanium rod implanted into the femur. The muscles of the thigh are also reconstructed, reconnecting pairs of muscles like the quadriceps and hamstring to create agonist-antagonist muscle loops, which naturally work in opposition to each other. Into these muscle loops, intramuscular electrodes are then implanted to pick up the electrical signals from muscle contraction. These signals correspond to the user's intended movements to either extend or to contract their knee. These signals travel to a controller housed in the prosthetic that interprets them in real.
Everyone has that one weird 90s movie from their childhood that only they remember, and it's haunting them to this day. Remember this fever dream where a farm kid turns into a cartoon cat to find an Elvis-impersonating rooster whose crow controls the sun, and the Grand Duke owl with human teeth who breathes petrification and discusses condiment preferences for eating children? Same. And I've spent decades trying to convince people this movie exists while having a flashback every day of the Duke shrinking down and being chased and eaten by his own nephew. A troll who makes flowers grow gets banished to New York, where he befriends kids and sings for 90 minutes straight until the troll queen turns a literal toddler to stone mid-cry, and everyone just leaves her there like a garden ornament while they have adventures. This cinematic masterpiece made $71,000 total, meaning if you remember it, you're part of an exclusive trauma club of about 12 people who remember watching a petrified baby while a troll sang about petunias. A nerdy penguin tries to deliver a pebble to win his crush while being stalked by a muscle-bound penguin voiced by Tim Curry at his most unhinged. Said bodybuilder penguin tries to throw the love interest off a cliff and crushes enemies with his bare flippers because this movie is basically Goodfellas in the Antarctic, and the whole thing just feels like someone's DeviantArt fanfiction that had accidentally got a budget. It's based on a true story, except the real Balto was a full husky and definitely didn't have conversations with a Russian goose or hallucinate his wolf self in a cave as he had a full-on identity crisis, and that's about all I can say without violating any terms and conditions on this app, because if I explain the Boris subplot, you'll probably never see me again. Macaulay Culkin gets bonked in a library and fights books with Whoopi Goldberg as a fairy, which already sounds like someone's NyQuil nightmare, but then there's the Dr. Jekyll scene that features face-melting body horror that would make Cronenberg proud, and Patrick Stewart literally dissolves into rainbow paint while reaching for help. Now every library visit I make is accompanied by images of Christopher Lloyd appearing to give me a concussion. A prince literally only proposes after the princess gets hot, then spends the rest of the movie fighting a sorcerer who transforms into a writhing mass of all animals combined, which is somehow more horrifying than it actually sounds, and when Odette stops breathing, Derek just holds her lifeless body for an uncomfortably long time while we all wondered if what we were watching was still considered a kid's movie. And honestly, there's like 12 other movies that I'm still having flashbacks of that come to mind, including, but not limited to, The Last Unicorn, so... Everyone has that one weird 90s movie from their childhood that only they remember, and it's haunting them to this day. Remember this fever dream where a farm kid turns into a cartoon cat to find an Elvis-impersonating rooster whose crow controls the sun, and the Grand Duke Al petrification and discusses condiment preferences for eating children? Same, and I've spent decades trying to convince people this movie exists while having a flashback every day of the Duke shrinking down and being chased and eaten by his own nephew. A troll who makes flowers grow gets banished to New York, where he befriends kids and sings for 90 minutes straight until the troll queen turns a literal toddler to stone mid-cry, and everyone just leaves her there like a garden ornament while they have adventures. This cinematic masterpiece made $71,000 total, meaning if you remember it, you're part of an exclusive trauma club of about 12 people who remember watching a petrified baby while a troll sang about petunias. A nerdy penguin tries to...
Welcome, one and all, to The Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. You know, folks, I read once that if you're a passenger in an auto accident, it helps if you're just a little drunk. Because, and this evidently, the science backs this up, if a drunk passenger is a little